Hey y'all, it's Mama's Vocalosity here, and I am starting a series of videos. I have made a commitment to do one video a day for the month of September. So I think that's 30 videos. Anyway, I am trying to just put myself out there, put my name out there, what I do, and I really want to build my voice business. And I want to do some more coaching. I want to go in the studio and coach. And so I want to just start sharing my experience and who I am and all those kind of things. So I wanted to do a video today to start my day one of 30 days in September of videos. And today I wanted to talk about preparing for an audition. Um, if you've watched my videos in the past, I am the gospel choir director at Azusa Pacific University. And school is starting in about 3 days, September 3rd. And the first week of school, I do auditions. And so Tuesday and Wednesday, I will be doing gospel choir auditions, all vocal. I have my band, praise God, but just vocal auditions. And I'm specifically looking for tenors and I'm looking for sopranos. So anyways, I thought this video would be helpful not only for you, but also for the people who are coming into audition so they can kind of get an idea of what I'm looking for the gospel choir. Now, mine is a college choir. It's kind of a beginning choir, but I don't necessarily treat it that way. But a lot of incoming freshmen will join my choir. But a lot of times when you're going to an audition, it's not always the same thing. Sometimes it's for a show. Sometimes it's for a musical. Sometimes it is to teach, or like this, it's to be in a gospel choir. Or maybe you're auditioning for a commercial or a part on a TV show or something like that. So I just made a list of things that I thought would be beneficial to people who are preparing for an audition. And the first one is, of course, knowing the date, the time, and the location. With some auditions, you may have to go online and register, or you may have to fill something in that you need to mail in. So make sure that you have your time and date set. It's always nice when you can choose a time. Like for the gospel choir auditions, I have a list outside, and all you have to do is go and write your name in the time that you would like to do your audition, and that's always a plus. But always know your time and date. You don't want to get dates mixed up. You don't want to get times mixed up, and then you miss the audition. Also know the location, and what's important about knowing the location is knowing your travel time. Years ago, I did Porgy and Bess at the LA Opera. And, I was living in Ontario at the time. And so when I had to go out to the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, I had to go to Los Angeles. And so I don't remember when my audition was, but if it was like at 3 o'clock, I wanted to make sure that I left in enough time, especially going into downtown LA around the afternoon time. Wanted to make sure that I got there in enough time, and not only got there in enough time, but in enough time so I can figure out where to park because I'm going into downtown. That's always a tricky thing. And then, getting into the building, you don't know if you have to take stairs, you don't know if you have to take an elevator, you don't know if you're going to have to go through some specific security, whatever the case may be. So just knowing where you're going, and then deciding how much time you need to get there, it's always a good thing. And you don't want to be rushed. A lot of times if I don't leave on time, there's an accident on the freeway or some kind of construction that, adds more time to my travel time. And then when I get there, you're kind of out of breath and you're rushing and you're trying to get there on time. And, you don't want to walk into an audition where people don't know you and be late and be apologizing. I'm sorry, I'm so late, da, 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 So know all of that. The next thing is knowing the genre. Specifically for the gospel choir, it is gospel music. I've had students come in and they do a classical piece, which is nice. in the sense that it shows me that you have technique and you have control, but it doesn't fit the genre of the music that you are auditioning for or that student was auditioning for. If it's Broadway, um, you don't want to come in with a gospel song unless it's like a really strong belty gospel song, but you wouldn't come in with like a contemporary worship song for a Broadway audition. If you were auditioning for the opera, when I auditioned for the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, I didn't come in with a gospel song. I don't even know if I did a Broadway song. I think I did two classical pieces and they were contrasting. So one was a lot faster in the tempo. It actually changed keys, I think 4 or 5 times, as well as the tempo of the song. And then I may have done Summertime. I can't remember what my other piece was, but um, you want to know the genre of what you're auditioning for. You want your piece to match what you're auditioning for. Next is dress. And dress is really important to me. And I stress it a lot in the gospel choir because I feel that the way you dress, um, it determines how you'll feel about yourself. You're standing up in front of people that you don't know, and you want to have a good impression. And you don't want them to be distracted by what you're wearing. I'm more of a conservative dresser, and so I wouldn't show up in an audition with a super short skirt and my girls hanging out. um, I wouldn't have something super tight on, because that wouldn't make me feel good, for one, but two, I don't want them looking at my body in that way. I want them to listen to my voice and want to see my personality when I sing. So I don't want my dress to be a distraction to myself or to other people. um, I know nowadays people are definitely more laid back in their dress, especially even going to job interviews. I still think it's important to dress nice, um, like you are going into a business, and people are looking at you as how you're going to represent them in some cases, not in all cases, but how you're going to represent them. So you want that to show in your dress. I would even encourage, and not going over the top, but if you're auditioning for a Broadway musical and there's a specific part that you're auditioning for, I don't think it would be bad to have something in your dress that reflects that. Not going over the top, not like a full on costume, but something that reflects that, because you don't want to be forgotten. You really want them to remember you. So if you do something just slight like that, they'll remember you. Um, be early. And I kind of touched on that with the time, but be early because you may have to fill out forms. It's kind of like when you go to a new doctor's office and you have to fill out uh, medical release papers. And that always takes like a good bulk of the time. So if you get there right when your appointment is supposed to happen, a lot of times you have to sit there a little bit longer because you have to finish those papers first before you can go in and see the doctor. So the same thing with an audition. You don't know if they have paperwork for you to fill out. So make sure that you get there early enough to have enough time to do that. Next is eye contact. Going into an audition is very nerve-wracking. You don't know exactly what they're expecting. You don't want to be nervous and crack. You don't want to have cotton mouth. You don't want to sweat profusely. You don't want any of those things. And so making eye contact, I think, is really important so that they know that you're really there. You're really focused on the audition and you want to make a connection with them. And that's such an important thing with performing anyways. You want to have eye contact. You don't want to just be looking up at the sky or looking into space. Make eye contact. When I sing for other people, if I'm like at a birthday party and somebody says, "Oh, Letitia, you should sing something for us," I don't want it to be about me, even though they've made it about me or made it about me singing, especially if I'm ministering through a gospel song or a worship song. I want it to connect with other people. So I will make eye contact with the people that I'm like. I like including people in what I'm doing. Talk freely about yourself. When somebody is hiring you for a show or choir, they want to know a little bit about you. Now, there are those instances where the person who is auditioning you is rushed. And there's many times where I've had auditions back to back, and I'm trying to get them done by a certain time. And so I will try not to talk so much, because I can talk a lot in an audition when I am the one who's giving the audition, because I want to know about the person. I want to know about their heart, and I want to know about their musical experience and why they chose to even audition for the gospel choir, what they want to get out of it or what they want to give. All of those things are very important to me, especially building a choir that goes out and ministers to other people. So I want to know a little bit about your heart. And another reason why I talk so much in auditions, when I'm giving auditions, is because I want to make the other person feel a little bit more comfortable. Most people come into my studio extremely nervous, and I want them to be free to sing out and not be inhibited by their fear. And so that's why if I can get them talking and get them telling me about themselves, then that's a good thing. So on the flip side, if I was the one who was auditioning and I was nervous about going into this audition, I would try really hard to talk as much as I could to kind of loosen myself up, but so that the person who's listening to me and who's auditioning me and interviewing me, they can see, they can learn a lot about me in that small amount of time. And again, that goes back to not being forgotten. You don't want to be forgettable. I keep wanting to say unforgettable. You don't want to be forgettable, okay? And so talk, and that'll show a lot about your character too, if you're open. And if you're auditioning for a particular part, and the part is someone who, has a lot of energy and shows a lot of character and a lot of color and all those things, if you come in like this, they're not going to think that you could fit the part. So talk a lot about yourself. Another thing, ask lots of questions. When I finish auditioning someone for gospel choir, I always ask them, do you have any questions for me? And it's really important to ask about, if you don't know anything about the group that you're going to or the show you're going to, ask questions. I think that makes a really good impression. Ask them about the company. Ask them about, who's putting on the show and how long have they been doing this, and how long is the show going to be running? Show interest in what you're doing. It's good information for you, but it shows them that you're really interested in not only doing this part, but also being a part of the whole production. And all of that I would probably put under first impressions. You only get one shot. You go in and you audition, and that's it. So all these things that I've talked about are really important. If you're late, that's going to make an impression. If you come in and you sing the wrong music, that's going to leave an impression. If you come in dressed all hoochie, that's going to leave an impression. If you don't ask any questions, if you don't make eye contact, a person who doesn't make eye contact seems very shady to me. First impression is really important. And just a final note, shake hands with the person. Even though you may feel intimidated and you may feel shy and fearful, grabbing a person's hand and shaking it really sets a tone of business, and it sets a tone of professionalism. So I think all of these things are really important. Obviously, these are some of the things that I think are important about preparing for an audition. You may have other things that you would like to add to that list. I could probably add tons more things to the list, but these are the things that I came up for today. So I hope that you are blessed, and I hope that this video finds you well, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.